He's the one person who is speaking to me. It is extremely different. Like the whole educational system here in the United States is so different from my culture.
It's easy to make friends here because there's so many people.
Exactly.
But the thing is that there's just so many people from so many different cultures, sometimes it could be intimidating. Hello, my name is Jose de Jesus Sanchez Garcia. Nice to meet you. What is your name?
Nice to meet you. My name is Evelina Davlieva.
Evelina Davlina?
Davlieva. It's like, it kind of syncs to each other.
Oh, okay.
Name match.
Well, Evelina, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I'm an international student here at Montgomery College. I come from Uzbekistan. It's a country in Central Asia, and I've been here for like 2 years. How about you?
I've been here since I was 3 years old in the United States. I'm currently 21, soon to be 22, but I have lived here for about 18 years. And I've grown up here. I went to school here, and well, I'm still studying here. And what about you? What are you studying?
Nursing right now. Well, I'm actually in a pre-nursing, just getting my prerequisites ready, and I have applied already for the spring 2019 semester for the nursing. But I'm 20, just turned 20 recently, and I'm planning to go to medical school after I finish my nursing here. Mm-hmm. So you were practically raised here, so how do you identify with your culture?
Well, I would say my nationality is Mexican since I was born there, and I would say my ethnic group is Hispanic.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty Americanized because I did grow up the majority of my life here in the United States. But I have been to Mexico many times throughout the years, just visiting my family. And in those times, it was a lot of like knowledge, just learning about my own culture, and it was less about doing specific things like, oh, this is what Mexicans do. Mm-hmm. It was more of visiting my own family and learning from them of their lives and what they do. Just trying to get to know them. That's mainly what.
So is your majority of your family living still in New Mexico?
Yeah, they're still living in Mexico. The only family I have here are my parents, my brother, a few cousins who were born here. They're quite young. The majority of my cousins that are around my age are back in Mexico. I do miss them. And yeah, they're also here.
It's pretty cool.
What about you? Do you have any family here?
Well, my aunt came here in 2008, something like that. She got married here, and she has lived here for like more than 12 years now. But everyone else from my family is either in European continent, somewhere in Russia, or in Central Asia, in Uzbekistan, where I come from. So there's really nobody here, and my aunt has been fully Americanized in those 12 years,
So you've only been here for about 2 years, you said before?
Yeah, 2 years.
So have you been finding like your experiences here at Montgomery College easy to integrate into the community, or maybe a little bit difficult?
Well, you see, this campus in particular, the Tacoma Park campus, it's extremely diverse. And ever since I came here, I started engaging with various cultural groups here. So it's not like they were very much like me, but still I could find a common ground with the diversity itself, that I knew that people are a little different, and it's okay if you were not born here. And there's so many other international students here who I could just talk about some of the issues that I had as an international student, for example, getting used to the language, because my native language is Russian. And I just found it so inspiring to have so many different cultures around me that I think it just became my home without actually having people from my culture here.
Well, for myself, when I first got here, well, I did grow up here, but to say that, because many Hispanics, when they move here, they usually, if they're much older and can only speak Spanish, and they're learning English, they usually tend to gravitate towards other Spanish speakers, and they usually hang out in their own groups. But for me, I grew up here. I was learning both English and Spanish at the same time, English in my classes. And when I got home, I was speaking Spanish with my rest of my family. And I really didn't fit much into the group. I had a diversity of different friends in different places. I remember a few from elementary school, but I hardly remember them because I didn't get to know them too well. And then for those years, I remember back in high school, I had a diversity of different friends we had a common interest. We were all from different places. Mainly, we had a common interest of liking to play guitar.
Oh, that's cool.
So we usually hung out together, practiced, showed each other new things, and then eventually we still stay in contact. Usually asking like how things are going and stuff like that.
That's great.
And I was wondering, so can you tell me more about like how it was for growing up in like the high schools where you were and then coming here?
It is extremely different. Like the whole educational system here in the United States is so different from my culture. Because in my culture, we go from the kindergarten, if you go to kindergarten, you go to elementary school, and it goes from the first grade to ninth grade. So there's no much separation. It's usually the same school, but just a different building, like different part of the building within a school. That would be for elementary school and then for middle school. But high school is actually a little bit different. You have to go to a college, which is a high school for us. So it's 3 years. You either choose to go to a technical college or a lyceum. So the difference between those two is one gives you an opportunity to work after you graduate, which is a college one, and another one is a lyceum. You just get an education to then further transfer to a four-year university. And here it was just so different. I came here, and especially college here, you get to choose classes. I was so shocked. Like, how can you actually go and choose classes? It was very different for me. So for you, you were born here, raised here.
I went to a variety of different elementary schools, just moving around from different place to place. It was mainly confined here in Montgomery County, because I have lived in Montgomery County for the most of my life. And then eventually I went to Eastern Middle School by University Boulevard. And then I graduated from Montgomery Blair High School in 2014. And after the summer, and after graduating, and that's when I started attending classes here at the Tacoma Park campus, originally under a biotech major. But I eventually did change majors to what I am studying now, which is broadcast media production. And you were talking about nursing earlier.
Yeah, I just love healthcare overall, but my true passion in life is just trying to get into neuroscience, like become a neurologist further on in my life, but it's pretty hard.
That was a big thing for me because originally, because I was a biotechnology major, I do have a big interest in science. But after a while, maybe I thought to myself, am I scientifically competent to study it? And I didn't think so, so I changed my majors. And that's how I started my television track to major for broadcast media production.
Were science classes hard for you? Is that one of the reasons why you changed or no?
It was less of like the classes and studies and more of trying to write your own proposals and theories. I always had that difficulty.
Understood.
I think it was mainly because I was trying to learn two languages at the same time growing up.
But I think it was a little bit easier because I know a lot of people who came here, for example, like a few years ago, and they only know Spanish. It's very hard for them. All of my friends, a majority of my friends, their primarily language is Spanish, so it's pretty hard for them to communicate.
Yeah, I knew that because of my brother. He's 5 years older than me, and he came here when he was 8 years old. So yeah, he told me about his difficulties trying to learn a whole new language, just like that out of nowhere. I can't snap my fingers, but
it's okay. So you said you play guitar, right?
A little bit.
That's pretty great. When did you start?
I originally started back in high school. I took a guitar class mainly because I just wanted to take a different type of class. I always took science, math, history. I wanted to take something different. So I took guitar, and after that first guitar class, my brother actually bought me my first guitar, a little classical guitar, and I still have it.
So you still play?
Yeah, I still play.
That's so great. I actually got a guitar about 2 to 3 years ago. It was a gift for New Year's from my dad. But what happened was that I didn't really have much time because I was studying so much, so I never actually got a chance to practice much. But then I started, I dropped again, because now I'm working and studying at the same time, so don't really have much time for it. But how did you start learning about it? And
I had first started learning in the guitar class, just mainly understanding how to read notes, music, sheet music, and stuff like that. But then after a while, me and my friends started experimenting, teaching each other chords that we knew, and eventually we slowly got better and better and better. And then after a while, I got a little bit more busy, and then I couldn't really practice as much because I was too preoccupied with something else. But I do return to it like every once in a while just to dabble or just to refresh or practice to make sure I don't completely forget all of it.
Does it have anything to do with your culture, the music?
Well, it does with the mariachis and everything like that. Is mainly because I always ask my dad about the music in Mexico, and he said that it was mainly like a lot about like about love and maybe somber music. As you said, like there's not much of it nowadays because it's kind of more like pop.
You're right. Everything is now one genre, basically.
Yeah.
That is very cool. How do you find diversity around the campus? Like, do you see the diversity? Do you think it is there or not?
Yeah, I do see the diversity around the campus. I do see on the majority of all three campuses. But I think I see them most here in Rockville because those are the campuses I've been at the most. I saw like I do appreciate the many efforts Montgomery College does to try to integrate new arrivals to the colleges and try to improve their experiences here at Montgomery College. Like for me, when I start a new class, I am a little bit shy trying to get to like know people. For sure, everybody is a little bit shy. They probably come in, sit down, talk. They introduce themselves, and they probably only talk to maybe one or two other people in the class, but they probably don't get a chance to like talk to the majority of the classmates.
Yeah, you're right.
What about you? Do you find difficulty meeting new people here?
Well, you see, for me, it all started with student life. This is how my first semester, I got involved in the leadership program, then I went straight to Student Senate, then I went to Advanced iLead, which is the leadership program on this campus in particular. So it was always student life, it was always so many people, and then we have Senate Activities Board. So I never really had a problem with finding friends, but overall, I'm not shy, I'm very outgoing, so every time in class, I would just find a person and say, hi, ask about an assignment first, and then it just continues on to making friends. So it was pretty easy, even though I really never had a language barrier because when I was little, I just was learning English along with my native language, which is Russian. So never really had issues with that. How about you? Do you make friends easily?
I have met a few friends here. I mean, one friend that I met here at Tacoma Park, eventually she became my roommate. So yeah, it's easy to make friends here because there's so many people.
Exactly.
But the thing is that there's just so many people from so many different cultures. Sometimes it could be intimidating if you're not very social. A few years ago, I wasn't very social. I was very antisocial. And slowly, I started trying to become more outgoing and try to talk to people.
Like getting out of the comfort zone?
Yeah.
That's very cool. That is very cool. What else? So you said you changed a major.
Yeah.
Now you're in broadcasting. That's pretty great. So are you planning to transfer after you graduate?
Yeah, I'm mainly, after I graduate, I'm mainly to transfer up to University of Maryland, Shady Grove, and continue my education in usually information technology or in the continuing majors.
That's cool. So where would you want to work, for example, in the long term?
Well, my dream is to probably work at a famous production studios, mainly comedic studios that I know of, like Adult Swim, because I do love comedy a lot,
that's cool.
and I do love the animations and the art style that they've always carried throughout the years, because I've always watched it throughout my entire life. That would be my dream job.
So you're trying to accomplish it slowly, one step at a time?
Yeah, maybe, hopefully.
That's cool. That's cool.
And
wherever life takes me, I guess, because right now I'm doing nursing, which is not really so much related to neurology, even though it's still in healthcare. I'm looking into this long-term possibilities. You know, anything can always just come up, and maybe I'll change my major, maybe I'll do something different, maybe I'll just go traveling around the world or doing something else. You never know.
Oh, okay. And, well, the other thing is, are you religious in any way or any practices specifically that identify you?
Well, I was raised Christian Orthodox. My family is half and half. My dad's side is Muslim and my mom's side is Christian Orthodox. So when I was little, I was watching my mom and my grandma going to church. So they didn't want to push religion on me because they wanted me to grow up and then choose for myself. But because I was at about 6 to 5, I just asked to be baptized. It was pretty interesting because I was a baby. I didn't really understand what religion overall is. But we went to church, I got baptized, and I was Christian Orthodox since then. But I think when I turned 14 or 15, well, I had some major family trauma when my grandfather died, so I started questioning a lot of things in my life. So I think I kind of stepped back a little bit, and I was trying to see for myself which religion really felt like it was closer to me. So I was between Muslim, Buddhism, and Christianity. So in the end, I just stayed agnostic. So I don't say that the religion is bad. I believe that there is a higher power, but I don't choose to say who I am and what I'm following. How about you?
Well, for me, I'm also agnostic.
That's cool, easy.
Yeah. Well, my family's originally Catholic. My mother's very religious, so she wanted to at least have me go through my first communion before they wanted to be like, hey, do you want to continue practicing? I said no, because to be honest, I found Mass very boring. But eventually, they keep going to church, but I don't.
But they don't push it on you?
No, they don't push it on
me.
me.
That's good.
Yeah, they don't push it on my brother either. It's up to us to decide.
Oh, so it is you and your brother both?
Yeah.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, we both don't go to church. We're both agnostic. Well, I don't really believe that there's a higher power, but I do believe religion could be beneficial to help people who are in troubled times.
Yeah.
Or to maintain like a certain lifestyle.
So I actually hang out with a lot of people who are religious. So in my view, I think it is this hope that religion gives them. I think this is something that is what drives them to stay religious. For me, I just find some other ways to have hope in life. And my mom didn't really like it in the very beginning when I told her that, I don't want to go to church anymore. But eventually she accepted it. Besides
religion to keep you comfort and to like inspire you, are there any like say people, specific authors, or maybe something specifically that inspires you? Maybe a quote or such?
Oh, I'm thinking about it, but I believe there was one. I was just recently reading this book. It's called, it was written by Mark Manson. I'm not sure if you heard it. It was pretty big. It was one of the best sellers out there. It was The Art of Not Giving an F word, don't want to use it.
I've heard about it from my psychology professor. She recommended that we see it because she explained that he is very blunt.
He's extremely blunt.
He's very blunt, and that being blunt is good for him.
Yeah, but then the thing what I loved about the book the most was that, a lot of people care so much about what other people think about them, what people say, and they spend so much energy on things that are not necessary. So what he was saying was, what you are willing to work for, like to struggle for, is something that actually defines you, and this is something that you want to do in your life. So for me, it was, regardless of how many difficulties I have in my life, I still try to get to my goal, which is becoming a neurologist. So I always remember that quote. I think he's probably because of his bluntness, he's the one person who is speaking to me. How about you?
Well, for me, it was quite difficult because there were so many different scientists I could have quoted, but I really like this one quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson. It was that the only good thing about science is that it's true, whether you believe it or not.
You can prove it.
Yeah, you can prove it. But it's a little bit, but I do like to keep an open mind towards new ideas. Not just facts. I just like to keep an open mind because you don't know. Maybe a fact could change in a few years and then it's a different fact.
And I think open-mindedness is the best thing you can always have, regardless of where you stand on a religious or some more scientific basis.
So anyway, Lena, thank you for telling me much about yourself. I really enjoyed talking about myself too. Really get to this rare opportunity where you can truly meet a stranger and really talk about who you really are, your culture, your likes, dislikes, and really express yourself, because you don't really do that to someone you just meet the first day.
You're right. It was very nice meeting you too, and we had such a great conversation, and I think we found a lot of similarities there. So I hope we stay in touch and maybe get to be friends with each other. It's pretty nice.
It was great talking to you.
Great talking to you too. Thank you so much.